46 seconds of logos.
It was a big mistake acknowledging this doll. And through that, the inhuman spirit tricked you.
Don't you hate it when you don't know anything about the supernatural, and then you run into somebody who does, and they criticize you for not knowing the rules about being tricked by an inhuman spirit? Fred at the gas station did that to me last month. It stung my pride, man. Also, the next minute and change will mostly be a repeat of the prologue in the original Conjuring movie, and we've had 2 other Annabelle movies. So what's the point of this prologue? If you haven't seen any or all of the 3 prior movies, that's on you. This would be like if we had to watch Peter get bit by a spider at the beginning of every single Spider-Man sequel. Also, if you're in a house with a creepy doll and it definitely has moved or has been moved around the house, what are you supposed to do? Are there people out there that can ignore that? And not everybody has the Warrens on speed dial.
It wanted to get inside of you.
Well, that's no different from most guys when it comes to nurses.
Cared for. It should be destroyed.
Lorraine is going to explain that destroying it would make the problem worse, but why hasn't the nurse tried to destroy the doll yet? I think I'm more frustrated that the Conjuring universe is once again revisiting the story of Annabelle and the nurses, and we haven't gotten that film, but we did get one about an orphanage so that they could give us The Nun, and I will never forgive this series for foisting that movie up on us.
That would only make things worse.
So, the inhuman spirit can't possess things, only humans, and it was only using the doll for effect, but burning the doll would make things worse? Do not get.
Nice doll.
That's what you think.
Jesus, Ed's lucky this cop doesn't bust the doll open looking for hashish after this dumb conversation.
What just happened?
I'll pop the hood and find out.
Car trouble on a dark, deserted road in a horror movie cliche. Holy that's a lot of fog. As much supernatural hijinks as Ed has witnessed, why is he not more concerned about that fog? That fog looks like it's about to wrap itself around Ed and make some little fog babies. You know what's worse than a jump scare? The we're gonna play on the audience expectations fake jump scare. What an asshole. I feel like every time I see a scene like this in a horror movie, I turn into Al Pacino and Glengarry Glen Ross.
What's the point? What's the f***ing point?
So, the truck had no headlights on in this fog, and we do find out a spirit took over the truck, but did it turn the headlights off and then back on? Ed still should have heard a car approaching that close.
I'm so sorry. All of a sudden, it was like somebody took over my truck. I had no control.
Just FYI, I've tried this excuse about 5 times with the cops during speeding tickets, and it's only worked twice.
It's the doll, Ed. It's a beacon for other spirits.
I honestly thought we already knew this, since you bothered to take the doll from the nurses after telling them how stupid they were for letting that demon trick them into thinking the doll was alive. Discount Kieran Shipka. I realize Ed and Lorraine Warren are real people and the Warren Artifact Room existed, but this more or less feels like a takeoff on the Curious Goods Shop in Friday the 13th, the series. And there's no Louise Roby in this movie, so that feels like a sin.
We need another barrier of protection. A holy one.
Didn't this guy just read from the Bible while sprinkling holy water near the doll? How is that not a holy barrier of protection? Why does glass keep a demon from demoning? Why do I need a second barrier of protection when I have God on my side? Isn't this the kind of thing that proves that you don't have faith in God?
That chapel glass we got from Trinity Church before it was torn down. Where is that?
Do you think there were a lot of fans of the first 2 films begging to know where the glass encasement they keep Annabelle came from? Because apparently this movie thinks there were.
Did it work?
The evil is contained.
Now, why don't you put holy gum in the lock, throw a blessed sheet over it, and maybe tie it down with sacred knots of rope? Is it because deep down you still need your house to look presentable when guests come over? Reading. Also, this is going to be referring to Annabelle, of course, but they also have a conjuring mirror that can summon any and all spirits, a wedding dress that turns people into murderers, and a shadow doll which can visit you in your sleep and stop your fucking heart. I'm just saying, Annabelle has some competition, and they seem to say this about every spirit in every movie. There is, of course, a lot of nonsense on this newspaper, but the most hilarious thing is the Nixon headline, which calls Ron Ziegler a White House secretary, and that he ties Nixon to papers, like it's some sort of Watergate headline. Basically there to tell you that the movie is set in 1972 or thereabouts, but it's also historically wrong if it's saying Ziegler was an important key to the Watergate scandal. And you can forget about the article underneath. It's just about a treaty between Great Britain and Japan. I feel compelled to give at least 3 cents to this newspaper.
Well, it's just a couple more hours until the weekend.
A couple hours? Mary Ellen is dropping Judy off at school. What school only goes for 2 hours?
How could you not tell me what the Warrens did for a living?
Doesn't appear that it's a huge secret. How would Daniela not already know what they did for a living?
Did you happen to notice who's working checkout?
Well, there goes the Bechdel test for this movie. This movie was absolutely A++++++ before then.
You know what they call him, right? Bob's got balls.
How the did that nickname become a thing? I was expecting Captain Karoo or Woody Woodpecker or Adam 12. Almost anything having to do with his chess club.
Anyways, if you know so much, why don't you tell us if you can catch cooties from a ghost? You can't. Then how'd you get them?
You might have heard laughing after this, but not one of these kids' faces support that. God damn it, if this movie is gearing towards yet another Conjuring spin-off called The Priest, I may swear off horror movies forever. A, always, B, C, Conjuring. Always be Conjuring.
Fine.
But don't snoop, don't touch.
Her friend has been asking about the Warrens all day. She snuck into the house. She gave Judy roller skates. What makes you think she's not going to snoop? The whole reason she's here is to snoop. I'm not surprised the keys to the room full of evil objects are just lying around on a desk somewhere. But let me ask you this. How often do Ed and Lorraine have to go into that room? Why would the keys just be lying on top of a desk like there's a need for frequent use? If you're going through all this trouble to make sure nobody goes in the room, it seems like the Warrens would be a little more careful where they keep these keys.
What'd you do to get in there?
Talking to dolls. Movie doesn't show us the story of the evil Weathervane. Guys, I can't explain it, but ever since Katie walked into this room, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but things got significantly more boring in here.
If there's a presence here in this room, please give me a sign.
Amateur ghost hunters. Seriously? You clearly believe that there was a possibility of this being real, since you're trying to talk to your dead father. But sure, let's just open the door that says warning, positively do not open, with a creepy doll behind it. Daniela never took the keys out of the lock, so where are they now? I just think it's hilarious that Ed and Lorraine gave this evil goddamn doll its own chair to sit in while it was being imprisoned. You're totally evil and must be contained, but we want you to be trapped forever in comfort.
You burnt the cake, Daniela.
Only the top. Just put frosting on it. She'll never know.
Yes, because frosting makes the taste of burnt to a crisp cake magically disappear. Also, Mary Ellen had already put frosting on before putting the cake in the oven, which, now that I think about it, it's also a sin.
Daniela?
You see, back in the 70s, they made peepholes only for the very tall. Peeping stools were sold separately and were very expensive. The 70s peephole led to one of Randy Newman's most famous lyrics, "Short people got no reason to live." Mary Ellen just looked out at the peephole less than 5 seconds ago, and there was no one by that window. So, while I'm not saying Mary Ellen should immediately jump to the idea of ghost, why isn't Mary Ellen immediately jumping to the idea of ghost?
I think you have the wrong house. There's no Annabelle here.
Yes, she is.
Even without a jump rope, this girl is 100% the Nightmare on Elm Street rope jumping girl.
She's right behind you.
Kids. Okay, so McKenna, full of grace, pushes the door open and sees Annabelle sitting in a chair, and she's concerned because the door starts closing on its own. Now, here's where the movie will reveal Annabelle is gone, after she opens the door again. But not just yet. The movie inexplicably cuts to a shot inside the room towards the door and tracks Judy for a full 8 seconds before giving us the reveal we already knew. I understand playing on audience expectations and doing something different, but this is merely confirming expectations and padding the runtime. Ghost mail. I don't quite understand why this demon bride has to walk a nearly 360-degree circle around Judy before getting mad at her existence, but I am vaguely aware of this technique when I go to weddings. A bride got about 210 degrees around me once before I shouted, "Damien!" and tackled her on the dance floor. It was a false alarm, though. The real demon was inside the groom's father all along. Also, I'm trying to figure out why the bride didn't show up just outside the door, inside the hallway, which was her trajectory.
Allows me to escape. Incline like
Hey, Judy.
I would have removed all the sins if this cross warded off Mary Ellen and threw her across the room.
Where do you see them? Everywhere I go.
So would you say you see dead people walking around like normal people all the time?
It's this case the Warrens investigated about this girl who was terrorized by something called the Ferryman.
And we will finally get the much-anticipated unification of two very popular franchises, The Conjuring Universe and Clash of the Titans.
Here's a picture of the girl he killed. Look familiar? And you two could be sisters.
Yeah, you both have blonde hair. It's uncanny. Good to see Ed keeps his projector loaded with exorcism films just in case he needs to rub one out while the missus is away. They're going to pick this game called Feely Mealy, which is the game that we saw earlier in the evil object room. I don't know how it got here, and you don't either, much less found a way to stack itself underneath all these other games. The point is, this game wasn't very popular, and no one in real life would pick it here. But for movie purposes, it will become an attractive game. In this game, that, believe it or not, is totally real, everyone is supposed to stick their hand in at the same time and not take turns. So Mary Ellen would be terrible at board game instruction sins. I'm going to add 20 cents for this interruption. Get to the goddamn horror already. I'm not saying that Feely Mealy was my first choice for horror thrills, but I would have accepted it. I played a very cutthroat game of Operation with some people from Pittsburgh last year, and I was haunted by the fact that they brought in an actual surgeon as a ringer. The point is, f*** this doorbell. You gotta love how Mary Ellen cautiously approaches this door, considering that she ordered a pizza earlier. I know. Right after she ordered the pizza, that creepy girl rang the doorbell, and maybe she forgot about the pizza, but forgetting about a pizza is a sin.
Hello?
If it's Bob, why wouldn't he have answered Mary Ellen? Does Bob know he's in a demonic doll movie? Because it seems like Bob knows he's in a demonic doll movie. Also, you interrupted a perfectly good game of Feely Mealy for this chode. I mean, Bob's probably a cool guy and all, but damn it, I thought something was going to happen in this movie and he ruined it.
You know you need to, woo her, right?
Who the f*** is this guy? What the f*** is this scene?
So how do I woo her?
Taking advice from stone pizza delivery guys.
Well, you know how I'm the equipment manager for the basketball team?
Yeah?
That's why.
The Bob's Got Balls mystery is solved before this movie has even attempted to Annabelle properly. Now look here, movie. I want 3 promising scares for today, and I don't want any bullshit about them. And I want them close together, because I'm going to send them all, and that's all I have to say to you. I would flip my finger at the screen, but I am not a visual medium. Demon doesn't like what's on TV cliche. So did the demon move the remote under the couch and place Annabelle there just so Judy would see her? That's, well, that's stupid. I mean, what if after the TV went off, Judy just said, oh, well, I'll go do something else now. I don't trust anyone who has 2 versions of sorry in their house. Say anything if it happened during Watergate.
Kept me warm, kept me warm.
What the hell, man? Daniela just told you about Mary Ellen liking you this afternoon. It was coming on strong, and then there's whatever the this is, which is worse and really hard to listen to. Also, taking advice from stoners.
Bob's Got Balls.
Giving a terrible nickname merit. I guess this is the Hellhound. This movie's job is essentially to advertise other movies that might be coming out in the future. After all, there are already 2 other Annabelle movies, so what else is there to explore? She's just a conduit for other films. The Transformers, the movie, was more subtle about the fact that it was just a 90-minute ad. I feel like we've been over this, but how does Daniela have these keys? She opened the Trinity Church glass casing with them and clearly did not remove them. Once the alarm went off, she ran away without grabbing them and never came back down again until she was with Mary Ellen and the door was locked. So she shouldn't have those keys. Unfinished cake. Is Daniela really going in the creepy artifact room after the door unlocked and opened on its own? Come on, you know something supernatural did that. Why test fate, Daniela? Yeah, the dude with the horn helmet is turning his head, but at this point, this movie's scare tactics are like a really easy version of Where's Waldo. Unless Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 here plans on doing something, this head-turning register is more pervy than scary. Let me guess, when she makes contact with her dad, he's going to tell her that it was her fault, that he's dead. Mary Ellen told Judy that it wasn't Daniela's fault, but the dick demon dad is going to say it is.
You did this to me!
Okay, I can get a good night's rest now. I would have been upset if I were wrong. Oh no, the milk is moving by itself! These demons are evil! Guys, seriously, why do all these horror movies play like starter films for teens? No one will be seated during the Mary Ellen finds the broom and dustpan and sweeps up the glass scene. Since Lorraine explained earlier that Annabelle doesn't work independently, and it needs a demon to use it as a conduit, then why does every f***ing demon in all 3 of these movies have a hard-on for turning music on to f*** with people?
Have you ever seen the ferryman?
He'll take soul. He'll take your soul.
They're even including possible taglines for the new movies in this one. Ah, David Crosby. Movie has officially turned into Ferryman Comes Home. All right, Mary Ellen, at this point you should be able to deduce that coin is either coming from a ferryman or possibly a leprechaun. You don't want to f*** with either, so let's just run upstairs, grab Judy, and get out of the house. Sound good? No? Going to keep doing some Nancy Drew? All right then, carry on. This movie lays on the horror cliches so thick, it's like it's begging you to hate it. At this point, we've seen so many horror movies we don't even question it when people don't even get scared enough to run out of the house. But there's some clearly insane going on here that Mary Ellen doesn't even seem to acknowledge. She's like, huh? That's weird. I'm a little scared, I guess. Let's examine this coin. Any pizza left? I feel like we're watching a Hollywood horror movie checklist being filled out in real time. I just realized that this movie is almost a serious retelling of Cabin in the Woods. I feel like Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford are somewhere betting on which of the objects in the Warrens' terror closet are going to kill which characters first. I think this is basically the movie's way of acknowledging what it feels like as an audience member to watch this movie, particularly the dragging and the sleeping. Judy really needs to talk to her parents about getting a new alarm clock. It's the Conjuring universe's greatest hits, all for the low, low price of $39.99. And your soul.
You need to give her a soul, dear.
I'm really confused about a lot of things here. How does one give Annabelle a soul? If she's looking for her own soul, why is she a conduit for other demons? Why would she want competition, since we've been told these other demons want souls too? Maybe it's something she can't help. I feel like everything is in the service of jump scares, and since the movie knows Annabelle's never going to get a soul, it doesn't matter how she's supposed to get it. Jack Torrance would like a word.
A doll? She wants a soul.
I mean, technically, the demon using this doll as a conduit wants a soul, but actually, when I think about it, I really don't know what wants what in this movie. I give up. Also, we've seen at least 4 different presences: the ferryman, the little girl, the bride, and the black shuck. So are all of them using Annabelle as a conduit? And do each of them want a soul, or just one of them? How can all of them even use Annabelle at once?
It's her asthma. She's having an attack.
Well, the movie is just about out of things to do, so of course Mary Ellen's asthma acts up. Even it is probably a small part of the Conjuring universe that this movie is advertising right now. A new, exciting entry called The Lung. We're not going to show the violence, but trust us, the bride stabs Daniela in the stomach, and it turns out it didn't really happen. All of this is a setup for the bride to suddenly reappear and vomit blood into Daniela's mouth. We won't show that here, it's gross. Trust us, it's not often demons use the fake stabbing so I can vomit blood in your mouth technique, mainly because it's so hard to pull off. Most demons can't do that unless they begin as children. It's like the river dance of demon finishing moves. I just realized this movie is like the Jumanji of horror movies. It even has the actress who plays Bethany, except it's more like the Robin Williams version than the new versions.
Judy, run!
Guitar Hero. Yeah, good call, Judy. I hear the black shuck can't beat a shitty deadbolt. Is that the ghost priest from her school she saw earlier? Did he follow her home? Because even for a dead priest, that's up. This Japanese warrior dude is like a person who works at a haunted prison or a haunted hayride. He's there to look creepy while people who paid $30 wander aimlessly past him. He'll occasionally yell at 1 out of every 4 customers. He was this close to snagging that Clifford Anderson role in Death Trap, but now he's here.
I know where the key is.
I'll get it. No, don't.
I'll do it.
Why would you stick anyone's hand in that goddamn thing? Just rip it open. It's cheap cardboard and plastic. I mean, did she know exactly where that key was? They could have done some cool shit with Feely Mealy, but even a horror movie can't make that game cool. Also, if you're going to go through all the trouble of making Annabelle reveal where she is, then lock the door, then make the protagonist play a game to find the key, shouldn't the game matter more? Christ, this movie wastes opportunities. I didn't even see 1 cockroach come out of that game. Why are the characters just not thinking for 2 seconds in this movie before entering dark rooms that weren't there before? Mary Ellen has 0 clue if Annabelle is still in this room. Why would she think the demons are playing fair? Uh-huh. Conveniently, this film is exactly where it was when they turned it on last time, rather than where they stopped it. Also, somehow this works. If you could simply play a film of an exorcism, nobody would ever need to do the hard work again. I mean, what's the hand planning on doing? Can't drag Judy into the box. It's only a matter of time before she gets away. You're dead to me, Feely Mealy! This is what demons should be doing the whole movie. If the protagonists have ways of getting away or defending themselves, I'm all for it. Instead, these assholes f*** around with TVs and light switches for about 90 minutes before coming anywhere near sucking the face off somebody. Mary Ellen survives this.
Hi, Judy. Happy birthday, Judy.
Nice surprise and all, but couldn't they have bothered to show up on time so Judy didn't have to sit there alone thinking the world hated her? Also, the only thing we heard was that Daniela talked to her asshole bully of a brother, but that doesn't mean these kids' parents would suddenly be cool with letting them hang out with the Warrens. They were in the newspaper and they were outcasts from society after that. Nothing about that has changed.
All the evil in here reminds me of all the good that's out there.
I mean, there's a lot of evil out there too, but I'm thinking about making t-shirts. Just go with it.
Does Mr. Warren know about this boyfriend?
He was the boyfriend.
Celibacy. Anybody want to hear a song? And that was when Judy lost all her friends that she just now made.
This property is hereby condemned.
If you've ever wanted to know what it's like to probe into the back end of CinemaSins and learn our deepest, darkest secrets, Behind the Sins podcast is just what you need. Each week, writers Aaron,
that's me,
Danae,
that's me,
and Jonathan,
yep,
discuss what it takes to create the content that you enjoy on YouTube.
Hopefully enjoy.
They probably do.
I mean, even if they don't, we talk about it.
That's true.
I guess I'll just wrap this up real quick and let you know that you can listen to Behind the Sins here on YouTube.
Or search for the show on your favorite podcast player.
Yep.
Carlos! I asked you for the map. What? Yeah, well, the map says we're
Did it work?
The evil is contained.
This house is clean.
Right, don't forget to...
I know.
That too.
Did you guys rehearse that or what?
We are laughing.
You don't need to ask me every time you need to go take a piss.
Who is it?
John Cocktoast.
You're looking up. Come on, give me the gas.
You forgot your keys. Extreme close up. Whoa!
This one here, I got in change when my dad took me to see Peter, Paul, and Mary.
No TV and no beer make Homer something something.
Nigga Sky.